All right. Welcome, everybody, to Chalice and Chains. My name is Sam, and today we are playing a slightly different version of Dark Age of Man. We've decided to test and see how a superhero setting in kind of the modern day will work with the toolkit or rule set of Dark Age of Man, because I think that it is really going to be flexible and great. And we have the usual faces today, which is great. You know, we have Jason, we have Dell, who've created this game, and I understand they are working on other settings or maybe some other tools to put in that toolbox. But the flagship being Dark Age of Man. So we are not in Dark Ages fantasy England. We are in Metro City, which is a major metropolis on the east coast of the United States. And this is a setting in which there used to be superheroes, but now there are supers, but the heroes are few and far between. So what I will do is I will have Jason and Dell introduce themselves and maybe a little bit, as much as they want to share about their character right now. Then I will go into the setup and we'll get started. So, Jason, I'll start with you.
Yeah, I'm playing Garrett Jasper. He is a 27-year-old super. He is a tech genius that runs a PI firm that'll take any work he can get. Lives in a small flat with two of his AI robots. He is built over the years when he was a student at MCIT and dropped out. These are both named Brian Alpha, Brian Beta. And he writes a blog that is popular, and it's a nerd blog. He writes about all kinds of things. And the name of his blog is My Life with the Bryans, but very often tells tales of his alter ego, but fictionalizes it just enough that hopefully people could not connect dots that it's a real thing.
Yep. All right. And Dell, if you want to, like I said, give us however much detail you want about your character.
Yeah, my character is, and I'll have to get Jason's for the last name. Henry? What was his name?
Henri Gustave.
Henri Gustave. Yes, that is my moniker. That's what I go by in the city. I'm a little bit affluent, and I mingle with the upper crust. Tabloid fare to some extent locally. I'm known as a bit of a collector. Antiquities, especially of the military variety, guns and whatnot, blades. So people usually, and I'm pretty cosmopolitan, as it's been known that I've traveled quite a bit. You know, the world traveler. Mm-hmm. So I'm very fluent in various languages.
Okay.
And I mean, other than that, that's pretty much how the public perceives me. That's my public persona.
Yeah. So. Fantastic. Well, cool.
Even though I do have other things that I engage in when I keep under the hood, as it were.
Of course, yes. All will be revealed in time and most likely in a dramatic way, but we'll see. Cool. All right, I'll give you guys the setup and the inciting incident. And so for anybody watching who's interested in the game mechanics, we don't really talk a lot about the game mechanics because we really are in the fiction, but essentially the prep from the presenter side, you set up the scene and then you have the inciting incident in which the characters go into it, and then you roll your random seeds and we go from there. So you're in Metro City, and Metro City is facing a new wave of crime like they haven't seen in many years. Gangs, thugs, backed by supers, are basically turning Metro City into a war zone, or they're on the cusp of it. You know, there's gambling and drugs, there's smuggling, violent crime, all of the things that you can imagine. They have just ramped up way more than they used to be, even 25, 30 years ago. And the MCPD are trying desperately to fight this crime wave, but they are just overwhelmed. There is way more crime than they can handle. The mayor, though, has said to them, you need to clean this up. You need to clean up the streets. You need to get this crime under control. And they are at a loss for how to do it. So the police commissioner, desperate to try to bring the crime wave under control, has instructed the cops to do what they need to do. And a consequence of that is they become much more violent. And citizens' rights have largely been violated much more than they used to be, because it's all they can do to try to crack down. It's essentially they are armed forces in a war zone, is the way the police look at it. And so, the heroes and the good guy masked vigilantes of the past, of the golden age, are gone. And who's left to fight the crime besides the police? We don't know, but that will be maybe what we'll find out today. And so this kicks off where Garrett receives a text from his friend, the independent reporter, who we know as Sarah. And the text simply says, I need your help. 33rd and Main. I think I'm in trouble. Excuse me. So with that, we will see how Garrett responds to that.
Garrett, sitting in a dark room in front of a bright computer screen, tapping away the conclusion of his Star Trek's 301st film review. When he hears the chirp, looks over, picks up the phone, and sees it's from Sarah. I will send the finished review of the new Star Trek film to my blog, and I will Stan, order lights on. Alpha, I need you to secure the flat. Beta, I need you to brew some hot chocolate. I am going out, and I may be coming back with Sarah. She may need a comfort drink. I will slide some baggy jeans over my wingsuit. I will put on a zip hoodie where I can lose that if I need to. If I needed to use the wingsuit.
Yep.
Put in my earbuds, and right before I start my the music in my earbuds, as you can hear it crack up, these are goodies, oldies but goodies now from a bygone era. You hear Beastie Boys' Sabotage as I turn up the volume on my earbuds, as I step onto the fire escape and down onto the street below and start walking toward the subway.
Awesome. And as you're going, you hear the Bryans arguing with each other. Alpha would be like, "Very good, sir. I will I will make sure that the flat is ready for your return." And then you hear the Beta Brian being like, "Why does he want hot chocolate? If the lady needs a comfort drink, he should pour some whiskey." Boy's out of his mind. And then they start, bickering back and forth as you clunk down the fire escape.
As the music drowns them out. As I step onto the fire escape, right?
Yeah. And as you your feet hit the pavement, it's a brisk night, right? The hoodie is doing as best it can to keep the cold, wind from biting through. But with the smog and the dense population and all the, the neon lights and all that, it's probably warmer than it might be in some of the other cities in late fall, early winter on the East Coast of the United States. And through that, excuse me, you are, you're making your way towards the subway. And as you get down into the subway, and I'm going to use the same random seed that I rolled earlier. Because you come down and you see this scene where it is two uniformed Metro City Police Department officers standing pretty menacingly over seems to be an older lady, and a young, maybe early 20s, maybe late teens young man. The young man is, I mean, tattoos all over him, definitely. He's sort of the stereotypical, like, looks like a punk in Metro City. But the woman, you can kind of see a little bit of like gray, white hair coming out of her winter coat, with her hood up, and she's kind of frantically trying to speak to these police in Spanish, no, and in broken English, no, he's a good boy, don't take him, and the young man though is like, he's belligerent, right? He's like, you Metro City pigs, like, you're always hassling me. I've done nothing wrong. I'm just trying to bring my grandma home. It's dangerous out there. Why don't you do your job instead of hassling someone like me? And the male detective, who seems to be the one kind of leading the conversation or whatever, he's like, or officer, not detective, officer, he's like, listen, we just need to bring you downtown to talk to you. You know what this is about. And the boy's like, no way, man. Last time I came down, I got a beating while I was in the cell. I don't need that again. And he pulls out his baton and he's like, you don't come with me, I'm going to give you a beating. And he's about to hit him. And then you see the old lady start to like scream, no, no, no. And she starts like hitting the cop with her handbag, trying to kind of fend him off. And the other officer at that point pulls out her service weapon and starts aiming it at the woman. And she's like, stand down or you will be put down. And the other cop is sort of half trying to fend off the handbag, but he's about to turn his baton on the woman. And it's with this scene that you have kind of stumbled into this, right? There are other people in the subway, and as is typical of Metro City, they kind of back away. But this is nothing shocking. But they just don't want to get involved. So what
I will step behind a pillar, and I will time my change into the shadow with a flickering overhead fluorescent lights. And when it flickers dark, when it comes back on, I am the shadow. And I loom about 6'5", but I can grow in size, and I kind of grow to blot out the light, distorting the light from the overhead. And with my voice modulator in Spanish, I tell the victims to you will be okay, back away. And then in normal voice, coinciding with the track change in my music player from Beastie Boys Sabotage, comes Adele's I Set Fire to the Rain, as my shadow shrinks down and reappears behind them, stun gun in one hand, in the ribs of the female with the pistol.
Oh wow. Okay. Okay. I'm gonna ask you to make a body check for me for the combat.
Okay.
But did your stun gun? I forget if your stun gun had any bonus or not. No. Okay.
It's just it just would create, instead of killing damage, it would create.
Right. Yeah. The stunning.
All right. Still create wounds, but it wouldn't kill anybody.
Yeah. So go ahead and give me your body roll. And I have the math in my head.
Okay. Oh, you won't believe it. 12 plus my body is 0. So
but
so
you got the
12.
natural 12.
But I did hit the nat 12. If you can,
that's amazing.
I can show you, but
it's all good. I'm not. Yeah, I believe you. Okay, so
I like this D12.
Reaction.
Yeah,
I like this D12. All right.
Yeah. Well, go ahead then and describe how, if you will, how you sort of take down or subdue this officer.
So blotting out the light, telling them in Spanish to back away, you'll be safe. Shrinking down, reappearing behind them, and then right up under her a bulletproof vest, I will hit her right in the ribs, in the soft underbelly, so to speak. Zapping her enough that I can twist away the pistol away from her.
Okay. And are you holding the pistol like in your other hand essentially?
Yeah. So when I zap her with the right hand under her ribs, and she kind of jolts, I'm going to reach out and pull that pistol away from her with this critical
okay.
roll.
Great. And so as you do that,
and again, in their view, I look like I'm a 6'5" kind of shadowy thing, right?
So you're
Although
still
I'm
in the
only
shadow
5'8".
form. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I'm only 5'8", but to them, I look like this 6'5".
Yeah.
Right.
And so you would hear the old woman scream in Spanish first, "Oh Dios mío, ay Dios mío," right? And then she's "El diablo, el diablo." But and as the other cop hears the kind of the zzz, right, and he's distracted, right, and he kind of turns his shoulder to look back to see his partner, and at that point, the young thug, basically, football tackles him, just takes him down because he was about to get a beating, and the officer stumbles. The kid actually kind of loses his balance, and when you're in your shadow form, is it an illusion or is it actually a shadow? Because this kid is going to become part of the same space as you, and so if you are corporeal, then okay.
I mean, as a superpower, it allows me to distort light.
Sure.
To shrink the shadow or to grow the shadow, but in all reality, I'm still just a 5'8", 27-year-old nerd.
Okay, so right. It's more of an illusion than you actually changing your physical makeup. Okay, so then in that case, what happens is the kid, as the cop falls, right, because of this tackle, the kid basically bounces off him and sort of in his half fall, he knocks his shoulder right into you. And go ahead and if you you know what, make a luck roll for me. I
actually have +1 luck, I think.
Oh, well, there you go.
Or do I? Let me double check. Oh, no. Just mine 3. Tech genius. That's right. 4 is my total.
Okay. So as he kind of collides into you, right? You sort of stumble backwards a little bit. You manage to keep your footing, but this kid, I think for a minute, maybe the shadow like flickers a little bit, and like he would see, your normal persona or whatever, and he's like, he kind of gives you this weird look, but then he spins and he yells to his grandma, like, "Abuela, vámonos," right? And he's saying, "Come here, come here." And so, she's still screaming. She doesn't want to get anywhere near you. And so he recognizes this and he spins around and they start running the other way towards the other entrance. But what you notice at this point is that the female cop is still down on the ground. She's knocked out. The other cop has fallen essentially onto the tracks. And of course, you hear that, and you start to see light coming through the tunnel. So the victims, so to speak, are running.
Okay.
The one cop is down, but I mean, on the platform, and the other cop has fallen onto the tracks. Right. The train is coming, and he looks like he's injured because maybe hit his leg or his shins or whatever. So how do you want to handle that?
So I've got her pistol away. I pitch that into the darkness, onto the tracks, down the tracks into the darkness. So her gun is into the subway track somewhere, and then I'll drop down and grab this cop and try to pull him off the tracks up onto the opposite side platform. So I don't try to bring him back. I just, with all my momentum, as I land on the tracks, I grab him and I'm trying to up using my momentum over to the other platform.
Are you still in your shadow form?
Yep. Yeah. Okay. It would just fluctuate, grow, shrink as I'm. Right.
So he, as you kind of go to do that, he literally like backs up away from you, and he goes to pull his gun, and because he's flustered by this gigantic shadow thing coming at him, he's like having a hard time getting it out of his holster. Meanwhile, you can see you can actually see the front of the train at this point coming into the tracks, and and the cop just seems flustered. Yeah.
I'll grow a large shadow blotting out the light of the subway.
Yeah.
And with my voice modulator now on this deep, growling, kind of demonic voice, tell him to run. As I appear to stand between him and the subway train, right? My shadow.
Okay. All right. So that snaps him out of it, out of his like, right. And he does manage to dart over to the, kind of the platform, and he pulls himself up. Now you have a split second before the train is, I mean, it's coming in, it's slowing down, but you're far enough that it would probably hit you if you don't get out of there. So
I will attempt to in 2 strides up onto the platform. And again, as I leave the light of the headlamp of this subway, I would turn back. I would shut. I would how do I say shut? I would decease in my shadow abilities and just be a kid in jeans and a hoodie rolling onto the platform. If I can make this right, am I rolling this?
So I'm gonna say body.
Body
for that. Yeah.
9.
Okay. So, okay, yeah. So I think this is what happens. You manage to. So, are you going the opposite way that the cop went, or are you?
No,
going the same way?
Because I wouldn't want to try to take my momentum back the other way.
Yeah. All right. So you kind of, with a couple of strides, making sure to step over the center rail so you don't get electrocuted. You kind of land one foot, land the other, put your hand up on the ledge, and you're starting to pull yourself up. But, you know, you're a guy who, for the most part, sits in front of a computer for most of the day. You might not be as strong as otherwise. And with the adrenaline and everything, you find yourself having a hard time fully getting up onto the platform. And so you're kind of like hanging there trying to get yourself up, right? And just as you look, and the train is just, I mean, it's going to clip you if something else doesn't happen, and you feel something just pull you up onto the platform, and you kind of fall sort of forward onto your face a little bit on the platform. You see the cop fall basically backwards. He had pulled you up and pulled you to safety, and he as the train kind of comes to a stop, right, the conductor at this point is leaning out the window, like gesturing rude gestures at you, swearing at you guys, being like, what are you doing, you fool? And then he sees it's a cop, and he's like, oh, sorry, officer, I didn't mean to, and the officer's just like, whatever, he just waves him off, like, and it's like, boom, and the doors open, and it's like 31st Street Station, all passengers exit to your right, and then the whole whatever, right? But the cop just looks at you, and he doesn't say anything, because you get the impression he might have put two and two together, but he's just kind of staring at you. But he says, "You okay?"
Yeah. I will stand. Again, I can hear that my one of my ear, one of my 2 earbuds is hanging, out and swinging under my chin, and I'll fumble around and grab that and slide it up, put it in my ear, and I'll say, "Yeah, officer, I'm great. How are you?"
And he looks at you, and he says, "I've had better days," and he says, I can trust that you're not going to talk to anybody about what you saw here, right?"
And I, again, a little louder than normal because I've got music playing. I answer, "I see what? I didn't see anything, officer." And I'll kind of head toward the open doors of the
train,
metro train.
Yep. Okay. And so he kind of just gives you a nod, but I mean, he's kind of side-eyeing you this whole time. He's really nervous because he's not quite sure what the heck he saw here. But after a moment, as says, "Stand back, doors closing, next stop, 32nd Street north, and right, and they close. And you would see that kind of breaks eye contact for a minute, and then you can see as that happens, he then turns his gaze from you back to his partner, who is just starting to kind of get up, and he rushes over to her.
Okay.
And so you've made it onto the train, and nobody even really spares a second glance at you. Right. You're just a guy on the train, right? They don't know what happened. But as you sit down, because it's late, so there are seats available. As you sit down, you realize just like how, right? Like that was a lot of work and a lot of effort.
Yeah, I actually take out my cell phone, and as the track on my playlist changes to the Cardigans, my favorite game,
nice.
I text her and say I'm on my way, and then I go to the note app and I make a note, start workout program Monday.
Yeah, get gym membership. Exactly. Okay. And Del, how should we refer to your character? Should we refer to him as Henri or as Caliber, or do you have a preference?
Henri, unless he's at business, you know what I mean? And that would be the moniker that, anyway, that people go to him by.
So you're on this train.
Yes.
For whatever reason, but you were on this train. It's around 10:15 at night. You're heading north, and you see this young man enter the train. He kind of looks all winded and whatever. There's a few other passengers here, but you might have, as the train was coming in, right, like you would have seen out the window that something was going on, and you're not quite sure, excuse me, if this was the same guy that like was on the tracks and pulled himself up, but you definitely would have seen the interaction with the cop. And so the fact that somebody got on the train after speaking to a cop and they're either not in handcuffs or bloodied is a bit unusual at this time in Metro City. So he stands out a bit for that reason. But how do you react to this situation?
Yeah. Well, I'm sitting there, and I've got a cane, I've got a duster on, and a hat with a large brim that's covering my eyelids, and I'm keeping my head low. I glance over. I'm not in my Henri garb, as it is this time of night, and I'm just traversing the city underbelly, trying to see what is stirring. So I'm getting preliminary layout of this cityscape. But you're right, it does raise an eyebrow that I witnessed that, and I saw it from my vantage point on the seat. Well, actually, I've been standing up, and I let go of the thing whenever he comes on board, and before it starts moving, I place myself in the seat. So I'm eyeing this young man, and I've just got my cane in between my hands, just like this, as it sits down in between my feet, and I'm watching the train walls just whip by, and there's a couple of passengers that walk, and I wait and take a moment and stand up and steady myself, and walk over toward the young man, and I'll stand there and grab hold of the leash to steady myself, and I'll glance down and see if he's and wait for him to get off of his text. And with earbuds, and I'll clear my throat for a second.
So let me understand. You're the annoying boomer who's going to bother the guy who's both wearing earphones and texting on the train. Okay, good to know.
Yes, and at first I just go.
I with the Cardigans rattling in my ears, I don't hear.
I'll double tap my
right, but I see your feet, and I see as I'm texting and writing the note that I need to start a workout program on Monday. I'll see your stick and your feet.
I'll double tap, and then I'll move the stick over and kind of tap against your foot.
Okay. Right. And then you see me fold up the phone. This is the Apple 62 phone. It folds up into a tight little, box that I can put away safe and sound. And I'll look up, and I'll pop my earbuds out. Can I help you?
Could I have a moment of your time, young man? And, that,
And,
and my
I'll
eyes skipped
slide.
down.
I'll slide down, making room for him to sit beside me.
Okay, I do so, and it's a little bit more stilted and proper how I sit down. And like I said, my arms are out, and I set my cane in between my legs, and then I'll turn my head and address you. I noticed your little scuffle with the officer. Are you okay?
Yeah, it saved my life. Having stumbled into the subway tracks there,
Oh,
I would have
is that
never
what he
thought.
did?
I would have never thought. Yeah, you did. You saw it, did you not?
Oh, well, yeah, partially. I saw where you were intertwined with him, and I didn't know what occurred to you before then. But um, I was just, and I'm kind of looking you over to see if there's any cuts, bruises, uh, you know, black eyes, anything, any evidences of the cop doing that. And then I'll kind of glance and say, "What are you listening to?"
I looked down at my phone, or actually looked down at my uh, uh, boxed up phone, and I'll flip it open. I say, "Well, it's a playlist of oldies and greats from a while back. It's a various mix of music, eclectic."
My eye cocks up, my eyebrow does, and as I look down and give it a lot, none of these names I'm recognizing on this, and you can tell kind of with a blank stare. Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Where are you headed, man?
I fold it back up, put it away. Well, it's kind of my business, isn't it? Where are you headed?
Just to quickly interrupt, you will have noticed that the train has basically come up out from underground and is now going elevated, and you would hear the automated voice now approaching 32nd Street Station. Any passengers departing 32nd Street Station, prepare, to exit on your left. But it's going to be a couple more minutes before you get there.
Okay. You'll actually see, Del, my attention. I pay attention to what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
Right. I might not. I'm still making eye contact with you, but I make note of the stop.
Yeah, of course. But I'm doing it in the same, in the same breath, in the same manner. So we both kind of queue up and pay attention. And I say, the 32nd Street stop. Will you be departing here?
No, not in particular. You said you needed my help. Can I ask what that was? And you see him fumbling around in his hoodie and into his jumpsuit, and he'll pull out a business card. And of course, it's a business card of a modern type where it has the phone scan on it. There's no actual information you can read on it. And I'll hold it up. Do you recognize me from my magazine ad in the Detective's Way?
I hold it and look at it for a second, and I can't say that I do. I'll pop it out and then but I'll keep it for reference, and I tuck it in my little interior pocket of my jacket, of my duster. And do you peruse these streets at night?
Train starts slowing down as this is happening.
Not if I can help it. I'm just a working man. No, I'm not usually out here after dark.
Yes, I'm just curious. I've heard tales of police brutality in the lower areas here. I saw the boy, some Hispanic boy and his mother, running away from the scene right before we pulled up.
Oh, I didn't see that. I was too busy
Jason, before you're even able to respond, you guys hear this. And I need you both to make luck rolls for me.
Okay. 3 for me.
Oof.
I have to ask you just because I don't have my character sheet.
Oh.
I got a 2. Is there any pluses on that?
I think you may. Let me pull up your character sheet.
I'll have to.
Where's Caliber? There's Caliber. Caliber has a luck of 0.
Okay, I got a 2 then.
Okay. So, the train, you hear this, what sounds like an explosion, and then the squealing, grinding as the train is basically put on its emergency brakes, right? And you see this bright, like, flash kind of in front of you, right, as the train was approaching the station, and then the train kind of lurches, and you guys go basically flying. Well, yeah, you were both seated, right? So you kind of go flying out of your seat. Henri would hit his head on one of the poles that's in the middle. So you would take 1 wound. And Garrett, you also would fall out of your seat, but fortunately you managed to just kind of glance off of the pole. But your back comes up hard against the seats on the other side of the train. And then you half managed to kind of like grab onto something as the train it was slowing down, and then all of a sudden it's like, and it comes to a rapid stop. And you said you got a 3?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So you are, I would say that between the exerted effort of the, what happened on the platform, and then with this, I will say you've taken a wound as well.
So I'm fatigued.
Fatigued, exactly. And then just as you are about to get up, you guys both are able to kind of look up to be like, what the hell happened? And then you hear and you feel this concussive force, and you hear another, it has to be an explosion, right? And you see the light of this explosion. You guys are like maybe 10 feet from where the train would enter 32nd Street Station.
Right.
And you see this explosion go off in the station, and it's big enough and close enough that the glass windows on the train shatter. Yeah. And so at this point, the people on the train are screaming. Some of them are ducked down. And you hear like basically outside some voice saying, "It's gonna be an explosive night." This isn't the Joker, but yeah.
You might see. So I'm assuming that blew the lights out, windows out, everything.
Yeah,
lights flickering on the inside.
Do have like their like emergency lighting on,
right?
But that's it. So you have this like eerie kind of red glow from the red emergency lights. But like all the train station lights are out, but it's not dark because there's like fire, catching in places and whatever.
You might see. You would notice maybe somewhat dizzy. Henri, as you look about in the half-lit compartment of screaming people, I would stand. You would see that I would fumble around. You might even catch a glimpse of my stun gun on my hip. They're hidden under my hoodie, and you might see a flicker, and then suddenly it's like I am absorbing what little light is around, and I cease to be a form you can recognize. I'm just a black shadow, so to speak.
Yeah, I blink. It's just as I suspected. I say as I lift myself back up off my staff and stand up and grab the pole and steady myself, I take a quick ascertation of my surroundings and the people there. I see the glass shattered. Has the car jackknifed slightly off the track, or does it still feel like
it's still on the track? It lurched,
Gotcha.
But it managed to stay up, and the lurching was kind of what caused you guys to fall. Yeah, or get
okay. I know that there's not that many passengers, but I'll walk past them, checking them with the peripheral awareness of this shadowy figure, of this boy that has.
Yeah, you might start to do that, and you might be able to check one or two. A couple of them seem like they're dazed, maybe injured, but the rest of the people in this car, they're literally like, some of them are climbing out of the windows because there's this giant shadow now in the car,
and that is moving toward a window as well, as I'm headed toward this voice I heard.
Yeah, and you can hear the doors going. But they can't seem to open. But just as these people are kind of trying to get out the window, willing to brave the glass shards and everything. There's a couple more explosions. These ones are a little bit smaller, and you hear just that maniacal cackling. And so a couple of them, they're like, well, crap, we'd rather risk this shadow in the train than bombs outside the train. So they jump back in. A couple others leap out, but it is pandemonium at this point. You see, you kind of can sort of see the train car ahead of you. Same thing. There's just panic. There's mayhem.
Okay. Can we tell where the explosions are coming from? 31st
they're
Street
definitely
or
coming.
32nd
No. It's at 32nd Street Station. You guys were almost to the station.
Yeah.
When the explosions happened. Yeah. So
so you would see this again. This thing just absorbs light. My shadow, it undulates in size, especially as I move. So as I reach up and step through the window, you might see the shadow shrink down and then expand. And really, it's so dark that you can almost see the difference in how dark, as I'm almost more dark than the darkness around. Yeah. As I'm onto the tracks, if I can, and trying to head toward 32nd. At this point, I'm headed toward the explosions and the not heeding anybody on the train. If they're just going to have to fend for themselves, right?
Essentially, you would have been able to, kind of jump out and jump over onto the little like side passage that they would use for, service workers and whatever.
Yep.
And so you kind of, you make your way to the end and you see this figure, sort of hovering over the station. So the way this station works is there's essentially like, a couple of big like cement columns that have like sort of a half roof, right, to give some protection from the elements. And there's lights and whatever, although they're all smashed out at this point. But this figure is literally hovering above there, and you can see it looks like he might have a jetpack or something because there's like some flames coming from it. But and just this like, and he's got this mask on, and you can see in one hand he seems to have control of the jetpack, and the other one it looks like he's holding a cylindrical object of some kind, and he's looking around, and he's like, "Yo!" And then he starts to throw whatever is in his hand.
Okay. So I when I see this again, I grow my shadow as large as I can, blocking out what light is behind me, almost obscuring anything behind me, like a black hole almost. And then rumbling from my modulated voice, I don't know who you are, but this you picked the wrong night, my friend. And then I will tap my player. And the Red Hot Chili Peppers, Dark Necessities, kicks on.
Nice. Okay. And so you're standing there.
Well, if
go ahead.
When I'm like I said, I'm not worried about the people bailing more so than the people that I may see. One or two, probably the older people. This fetal up in the corner or something like that. Check and see if they go in. But I saw the wraith of the boy, as I suspected, dart out the window. I remain calm, but I'll say, leave in an orderly fashion. Don't, give a couple of warnings as I go, and I'll examine that door and see it going back and forth and shutting.
Yeah.
Now I'm looking at the window, and my intent is to follow the boy. And to see it. Obviously, there's a glow of red coming from the front area of the train back, off in that area. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get through the window and make my way toward that situation.
Okay. That's fine.
And from here, from behind, Andre, all you would see is just total blackness, as I've blocked out all the light from the other side. So you might not see the guy on the contraption with the bomb, right? It's like all you see is this black wall.
Yeah, but I sort of saw a little bit of that, so that's why I approached you in the first place.
Sure.
So you know what I mean. So when you did do that, I said, 2 + 2 is what I suspected.
But you also would hear you can still hear what's going on. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, I just mean that, now I know how to spot you, as it were, you know what I mean, from what happened originally. So, I'm looking for that pitch blackness, that wraith-like form, and I'll see it kind of manifest itself in front of this jetpack individual as I'm coming up from the back. But when I do, I will reach into my coat, as it were, and pull out a relatively small rifle, with a scope, and I'll put the monocle on my eye, on my good eye.
Yeah.
And you'll see as the brim comes up, you'll see that there's a polished Civil War shot a ball, with a target emblem set in my eye. So I use the monocle like that as I'm pulling up, and as a scope for the rifle, and trying to get a bead.
So I can see your cane turns into a rifle, right?
Yeah.
Kinda like a cane. Yeah, that's it.
Oh, damn.
And
awesome.
I'll pull that up to get a bead. That's what I'll be doing, and just as slowly as anything. Almost I'm used to the pack, as I do, and just taking my time to hone in. But that's why all this is going on. I'm trying to get a bead above your head to the individual and the jetpack itself. But go ahead.
Right.
That's what I'll be doing.
Yeah. And so as Garrett would have said what he said to kind of confront this figure, the whatever he threw out of his hand, you presume it was like a grenade or a bomb of some kind, right? It explodes further down the station, and you hear some screaming. But then you hear be like, you hear, you motherfucker, and poof, 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 poof. Somebody's shooting at him, and you can hear a clang, right, as it kind of hits part of his jetpack, and he says, and he looks over to you in the shadow form. He says, "You can wait just a minute." And he looks back and he says, "You're gonna regret that." And he pulls this it almost looks like he's disconnecting a hose from the back of his jetpack, and he does seem to come down a little bit. But he opens up with this maniacal, and it's like a flamethrower, just in the direction of those people. And, like a couple of them take a couple more shots, but then they flee because, this is like liquid napalm. This is bad news.
Right.
And so,
I would take advantage. Again, as I grow my shadow where it blots out, it's hard to tell exactly where I am.
Yeah.
So 2 steps, and I will leap for his, his flying contraption and try to grab hold of it.
Oh, yeah. All right. Make a body roll for me. Your wingsuit hasn't been activated, right?
It's not good, dude. 1.
No. Okay.
This is a 1. So I had a critical success already today, and now a critical fail. No, my wingsuit is really only for coming off of heights. Is it
gliding? It's gliding.
No, I'm just leaping up, trying to grab his jet.
No. But what I'm saying is, with your wingsuit, does it allow you to accelerate, or is it more of a gliding?
No, it's just for gliding from heights.
Okay,
down.
Gotcha. So kind of.
So there's no power
Batman's,
at all.
Yeah,
It'd just be
gotcha.
It would be literally a gliding suit, right?
Okay, cool. Okay. Let me see how I want to handle this. So you basically critically failed on this one. All right. So I think what happens is you kind of go to jump, and just as you do so, this figure whips around. He's putting his fire, his fire hose or whatever back in. And you might have been able to get him, but as he kind of connects it back in, the jetpack seems to surge a little bit, and it pops him up another 5 or 10 feet. And I think what happens is, in that moment, the flame from the jetpack as it surges is really bright, and I think that it temporarily it kind of overwhelms your shadow illusion, and so you, at least for a couple of seconds, your shadow form is gone, and it's just you standing on the platform enough for him to turn and see you. And then I would say Go ahead. Make a mind roll for me, if
Mind
you will,
roll?
Jason. Yeah.
+3, 5 total. God, I rolled a 2 that time. So +3, 5.
Sure. So you're trying
I
to.
am just too fatigued.
Yeah, you're trying to concentrate on like kind of reactivating your power, but I think that with the fatigue and with the distraction of this guy in front of you, it's sort of like flickering, right? Like maybe perhaps like part of your body will be obscured in shadow for a minute and then it'll dissipate or whatever.
Right.
And you can see that this figure is hovering above you and he's looking at you. He's close enough that you can make out his features. He's got kind of like a little mask, and you notice he's wearing a fireman's hat.
Yeah.
He doesn't have any other like fire gear on, but he's wearing that. But you can see his eyes, right? And his eyes, they just look like normal, like, they're kind of gray human eyes. And he looks down at you, and he says, that's a fun trick indeed, but you are no match for Firebrand. And then he kind of, right? And he's doing something where he's hovering. He's not moving up or down. He's hovering, but there's more fire coming out. And it's really messing with your flame.
Okay.
He does not seem to be paying attention to Henri, though. Although you would be visible because that shadow isn't. It's still sort of flickering on and off. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, that's when I see it. It just more reaffirms that the boy is the shadow. Looks like you need some help, boy. Stay still. Say to myself, as I hold my breath, and then I pull off that shot.
Okay.
And I'm trying to hit as he's spinning around. I'm trying to hit his pack on his back. Yes.
Okay. Go for it. So combat roll.
Yep. Okay.
Your rifle's a what? A +2 or +3? How was that?
Yeah, it's excellent. Right? It's an excellent. Okay. Sure. So +1 actually. So mind +1. So he's got +2 combat. So +2 to your combat roll. Yeah.
Okay. So +2 total, right?
Yes, total.
Okay. This is just 5.
Okay. Okay. I think this is what happens. You manage to kind of line up the shot, right? And you kind of have it in your sights, and your gun explodes as the hammer ignites the powder, right? And the ball comes spinning out, and it's coming at him, and it's gonna hit, right? And it does. It hits the jetpack, but it's like either this jetpack is armored or there's something, but the force of it manages to kind of lurch him for a minute. And he's definitely distracted. But you do notice that he seems to be, you can almost smell it instead of hear it, but he seems maybe like he's got a little bit of a leak. And he's like, where did that come from? And you see he's reaching for one of his bombs. And he's like, I've had enough of you. And he's going to try to chuck a bomb. Now, are you standing like right next to Garrett? Or pretty much right next to him?
No. I was standing behind him. I wanted to go over his head to the. Yeah, okay. So I was a good ways off trying to get a bit of a sniper. Okay. It's still like I wanted to be in the shadow area of it.
Sure.
So, but I think that he would know where that came from, right? And kind of.
Oh yeah, because he would have seen you holding the right?
Yeah, ping. So I'm taking long strides because I am a little bit of a tall fellow, like 6'2" or so. Toward to to an area on the side, whether it's a little alcove or whether it's, you know what I mean, or behind some tank or something like that to gain some coverage.
Yeah.
So anyway, that kicks in.
So he throws the bomb at you as you're trying to kind of get into cover. You can make I'm going to say make a luck roll for me, because I think that this is more luck than actual bodily agility or whatever.
Okay. Well, that's actually the 6.
Okay. Oh, man, dude. Okay. So...
It goes off and...
Yeah. What's his
shrapnel?
Okay, yeah.
Ding, 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 ding.
So so
It's
he
all right,
throws
boy.
this
It's just
bomb, and it's coming right, and it's almost like it goes. You see it like in slow motion, right? Maybe like the targeting reticle or whatever in your eye, like it focuses in on it, right? And
yeah.
if you had like a Jarvis character or whatever, like incoming danger, incoming, right? But it's coming at you, and you manage to kind of get like partially undercover, but as the thing is just about to hit the ground, you realize it's like a Molotov cocktail, right? It's like he has this bottle and he chucks it, and the thing goes right, and oh no, these guys are nasty. Okay, oh, you didn't critically fail, so that's good. So
Well, I've got a little bit of a plated
um
duster on. You know what I mean? If
yeah,
narratively,
you will take one more wound as a combination of shrapnel and some of the fire gets you.
well, it catches my
Yeah,
duster on fire. I'll be
yeah,
disrobing that as I'm in the corner, and it's
yeah,
shrapnel. But I've got plenty of scars from my time that just added
yeah.
to me. It's full of character. So as
Yep.
I do that, I'm trying to put myself out more from the fact that I don't want to be seen flaming, and I'll stand right where I am. But I want to, after I make it to cover, and I'm taking the duster off and beating it down. Okay,
Yeah.
now I'm without duster as it lays there smoldering, and I peek around the corner hoping he hadn't come up quicker. As my senses are aware of the sound his jetpack is making.
Right.
And I'll peek around the corner to see if the boy's still there, and if
Yep.
it looks like he's tracking me. With my
So
monocle to see where he is, basically.
from my perspective, I'm not hearing anything but Dark Necessities, Red Hot Chili Peppers,
Yeah.
and then I'll hear muffled explosion. I'll see the venting of gas from his. I'll never hear the gunshot, but I'll see the venting of gas.
Yeah.
And then I'll see him chuck the bomb, and I'll feel it, and I'll hear but mostly it's under, Red Hot Chili Peppers, and then I will extend my shadow to blot out basically his vision and basically all the light that's left here. I'll extend it to almost into his face.
Sure.
To blind him, as I'll kind of duck under, and also assessing with my tech. My intellect is really my chief power.
Yeah.
I will try to decipher, what am I looking at? This is cool tech. I mean, this is like, dude's floating around on this thing. He's got this flamethrower.
Yeah.
I'm trying to assess what this tech is. This is throwing high explosives on contact bombs.
The thing is, like, it's actually not as cool as it might seem, because as you start to look at it, and and you're thinking back to some of the like Star Trek movies that you've seen and some of the other like sort of action or sci-fi movie, you realize like this is basically just a standard issue military jetpack. But it has been modified so that one of its fuel sources can also function as basically like a flamethrower. And then he has what seems to be either Molotov cocktails or grenades on him. So fairly basic tech. And honestly, apart from the jetpack, something that most of the people in Night City, the underbelly of Night City, would have access to. I mean, Molotovs and grenades are not exactly uncommon.
Sure.
But he...
Pipe bomb.
Yeah, exactly. As the shadow form, you manage to kind of get it back under control, and you're starting to expand it. At this point, he's like, what do you think, your shadow can defeat me? And this is something new. All of a sudden, he's like, the light will always overcome the shadow. And he starts to just like almost like immolate, right? Like there's just fire all coming out of his body, and just like, he's like, blah, right? And he's just this beacon. And it literally is, it seems as though like you feel this like mental tension, almost as if his bright light is trying to quash your shadow. Right. You managed to actually make a mind roll again for me.
4 + 3 = 7.
7. Okay.
from my vantage point, it looks like an eclipse is going on whenever I peered out.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So you manage to hold on to some of your shadow, but it greatly diminishes because it seems as though this firebrand he named himself is he's somewhat powerful, and this does not look like tech to you. This looks like this is probably some kind of superpower. You can't, at least you can't.
So this
see
isn't emanating
source.
from his jetpack, or
not that you can see. And you you know tech, so you got a pretty good idea that this might be coming from him.
Yeah. My with my voice modulator on this demon-like bestial, I will echo down through the subway, through the noise and the screams, toward Henri. His high explosives on his belt. Target them, and then I'll try to shift around, forcing him to follow me. So I'm moving along the tracks in this kind of dark versus light fight, but I'm moving toward 32nd Street, trying to get him to pivot.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah. Well, he's definitely focused on you at this point.
Okay.
Yeah. So absolutely. So yeah, I would say with that distraction, that would definitely be an advantage for Henri should he wish to take another shot. Certainly. So yeah, if you want to do that, you certainly can. You are muted though.
Like I was saying, the from my vantage point, looked like a really dark shadow was encompassing even almost to me. But I see a bright halo-like illumination coming around it, and the shadow shrinking somewhat. But I can't get a bead on the individual that was there. So I've taken that the shadow is going to hide me up for a little ways, and trying to pivot around to where I can get a clearer view of the individual that was flying from the light point, right? So I'm trying to get around that sphere of darkness, and that's where I'll be moving to right now to get a better vantage point.
Well, and it doesn't take long, actually, because that sphere of darkness greatly contracts to the point that, this guy's up in the air, and he's glowing like a big friggin', fire beacon, and the shadow is no longer containing,
As it does, my monocle automatically self-darkens, just like the glass or whatever, to where I can get a bead on it. And it can more adjust to where I can see the target exactly. And I'll put my finger on it and move it around a little bit, adjust it to where it really defines him more so and brings down the light a little bit.
Yeah.
And the little reticle goes across too, and I'll take another, on my knee as I'm pointing up, I'll position myself again and let loose with another shot.
Okay, go for it.
All right, that is 9 total.
Okay. And were you aiming specifically like at one of the explosives that was on his belt like Garrett suggested, or just...
But probably center mass in this situation, because it's just I can only really get a bead on his shape and his form, to do that. And I felt like that it's probably got armor plating on his thing. So I just take the individual down.
Sure. So you can you're lining up your shot, right? You've got the light damp down. You're gonna hit him because you've got him locked in, right? And again, almost in slow motion, the bullet just tracks directly for him, and you can see, and as this is happening, right, maybe like just after you take the shot, some sweat like drips down over the monocle and obscures it just, a little bit, makes everything blurry, at least in that one eye. And you can feel the intense heat more than anything. You can hear the crackling that it's making. And then all of a sudden, it's like the fire just winks out, and the heat goes away, the crackling's gone, right? You actually you might have been squinting your regular eye because it was so bright, and you hear him go, and he's like kind of jerking a little bit with the thing because he takes his one hand and he puts it down to his wound, and he he says, "You will see me again, sniper," and it's like, you remember the name Firebrand, and then he goes and he starts taking off, into the city somewhere with his jetpack.
Jeez.
Yeah,
Okay.
But you wounded him. You clipped him good.
I'm assuming my mass of shadow would immediately reemerge as he dies out, right? It's like the blackness would take over again.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I'm standing there sweating, fatigued, breathing hard.
My monocle's self-adjusting to allow more light to come in since the shadows overtaken. It's like dark.
And then I would desist with my power, and I would get away from the tracks, kind of stumble. I almost move toward a shadow, a darkness, but I desisted with my power. And I'll pop my earbuds out, looking around in the darkness.
Okay, I'm standing up. I'm standing up doing the same thing, and I'll say, "Boy, here."
Yeah, and I'll look down in your direction.
Behind, and I step out from the little tank that I was standing beside, and you'll see that I'm removing the stick from what appeared to be, and then putting it alongside and then flipping it over, and I'll clamp it on the ground, and then I'll start walking toward you, using it as a cane again, right?
Right.
The handheld or whatever, and I'll walk up to you and cock an eye, and in the direction.
You'll
who
see.
that was?
You'll see. I'm sweating pretty good. I might have a couple of cuts and abrasions. My hair might be smoldering a bit from the jets on his. The name is Garrett Jasper. It's not boy. I'm 27.
Yes, 27. All right. As you see me, you can tell it's almost like my face is as cosmopolitan as and muddled as my language. You know what I mean? You can't really pin it. I'm certainly from not the neighborhood or not from the neighborhood, but it's like, it's quilted a bit. It looks like some of it's, as I've come into the light area more so, that it looks like some work of plastic surgery has been in some area, seems a little bit down, and that's throughout my whole skin, and it's somewhat pitted and marked or whatever. And you'll notice the eye.
Okay.
Or what should be an eye.
I'll try to not look at it. Right. It's like I'm purposely looking at your other eye. Right.
And then
I'll see it, but then it's like, okay, he's missing an eye.
Okay, Garrett.
Grandpa's missing an eye.
Garrett, be that as it may, I suppose you deserve as much. You held your own. Have you ever seen that individual before? And I'll glance toward the tail end of his, off in the distance, winking out, obviously, from this distance.
And I'll look down the same way you're looking. No, but I'll see him again. And he uses standard military tech. We can deal with him, or I can deal with him. And then I'll pull out my phone as I'm saying this, and I'll call 911.
Switchboard's busy.
Report. Oh, it's busy. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Then I'll realize Sarah, and I'll text. I'll try to text over to Sarah. Are you okay? I'm on 32nd, and there's been an explosion. So I'll text all this to Sarah as I'm talking to.
Sure.
Almost don't have to look, right? It's like
I'm fishing. I'm fishing out my business card.
Right.
As you gave me one from the other pocket, and then I'll flip it over like a card toward you.
You can hear sirens in the distance. They seem to be getting closer, or louder, I should say. But that it takes the cops a long time to get anywhere.
Okay.
In Metro City.
I'll
the business card is just a number. It's not a name or anything.
The phone number.
Yeah, you'll know who to call if you need me.
So I take it and I'll deposit it, and then I look around in the dark and I say, we're We need to collect evidence. And I'll start looking for fragments for these exploded bombs, scrambling around in the dark best I can to find some remnants of these bombs that he was using.
Evidence. Do you really have faith in the police that they'll
no,
especially after
and
you
I'll
were
look up and I'll say
hassled by
no.
them?
No.
You feel your phone vibrate in your pocket.
But I am a detective. I don't need the police.
Mm-hmm.
I can track this myself. And I'll
give you a wry smile and take a half step back and nod. Mm-hmm. If you need me, I'll gesture toward the card, and then I'll turn on my heel and start heading out of the area.
And you feel again your phone bzz, bzz, in your pocket.
Yeah, I get it immediately. As I'm using it kind of as a flashlight.
Yeah.
To try to find bomb fragments around here.
Yeah.
So all I have to do is basically look at the phone.
Sure. And the message, there's two messages, the response, the first one says, your girlfriend is fine for now. The second one says, if you wish for her to remain so, get here. 33rd.
Okay. So with that, I'll turn a little white, and then I'll fold the phone up. I'll put the earbuds in, and I'll hit the track. One Republic run starts as I take off full sprint toward 33rd Street.
Okay. Yeah, and so it won't take you that long to get there. I mean, it's a bit of a haul, but perhaps this is the start of your exercise routine. But it'll probably take 10 minutes if you are running. And very likely you're not going to run into a lot of people on the streets right now. Because whenever there's an explosion, people leave. So for the moment, you'll have a fairly quiet, or fairly, unoccupied sidewalks. There's always cars, there's always whatever. Henri, are you following Garrett, or are you going your own way?
I've already turned on my heel and started walking away. I went and picked up my duster, the smoldering remains of the duster. And when I pick it up, I'll fish out a cell phone from the pocket of it and flip it open and call my butler to have a car come pick me up. And then I'll go to the designated area. But the boys Garrett's already running off down the road,
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay. And so you realize as you get to sort of 33rd, right, as it is going to connect with Main Street, you were kind of in more of like the sort of financial district, but 32nd, 33rd is kind of where the city sort of shifts from kind of the financial district into more of like the arts district. The arts district. And so there's a lot of like museums here, art galleries, whatever. Some of them have been broken into and looted. Others, the ones that can afford good security or pay off the right people, they're there, right? This part of town is typically less dangerous because there's more. It's where the money is.
Well, you're referring to me, right? Because I do
to Garrett. You could have a presence there, and should you wish to, but unless he
will pass my gun museum. It's full of guns and beer steins. My personal collection is pretty much free for donations. But that is one thing that I'm slightly concerned about. But that's what I have on display for the people. But he can. It's in that district, and he could probably pass it at some point.
Yeah, I
might. As I'm passing it, I
you
might
won't know it's mine, though.
Unless there's a phone number published on the door or on the sign.
Oh, that's a different number. I forgot more than one.
Yes. Okay. So I wouldn't know it's your I wouldn't know you're affiliated with it.
Now I am in a tabloid somewhat, so if you could recognize my face, but then again, Yeah, that's
Yeah,
why I was going World War
I'm
Excellent.
If you weren't in Star
unless it's a
Trek,
nerd
then yeah,
blog, I'm not
yeah,
interested in antique dealers who
That
play with guns and
yeah,
stuff, right? So
that's what
I
to
wouldn't
me.
know you well yet at all. Um,
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
but I am sizing up the neighborhood as I get closer to
yeah.
33rd and Main.
Mm-hmm.
Looking for vehicles, police.
Yep.
Any look as though there's been a robbery or disturbance.
No, so
However, I'm not using my shadow form here, but I
right.
pulled my hoodie up. And of course, we have been. It's taken me about 10 minutes to get here, so we have seen the playlist turn to Imagine
Mm.
Dragons Thunder at this point.
Nice. I love it. That's my son's favorite song, by the way.
Oh, sweet.
Or one of, yeah. So yeah, this part of town is much nicer, and there's no cops, but there are definitely heavily armed security forces here.
Okay.
This would be where the wealthiest people in the city like to come and play.
Okay.
So there's nightclubs, there's the museums. That this would be, the Metro City Opera would be a little bit further down, and typically, it they've started in recent years building they've been walling it off, but they've been doing so in a way that is couched in urban renovation. So it's not exactly,
an aesthetic walling off
yes, exactly. It's
under the guise of urban art,
yeah,
right?
yeah, exactly. Regentrification or whatever. But
Right,
so
right.
this is probably not a place you would normally come. Although,
Right.
who knows? Maybe you would end up having clients here. But I don't know. They would probably
Well,
use
yeah,
a more
Star Trek's
reputable. Yeah.
debut play 2 years ago
Oh, happened in the opera house.
at the
Yeah.
opera at the theater district.
Sure.
I might have been down here for the Star Trek play.
Well, they don't let the filthy normies usually come in. You would come in on the subway right to the opera stop,
Right.
and
Right.
then they would look down on you as you come up. But
Yeah, so I'm just
yeah,
taking in. I'm taking in where she may be, looking about
Yeah.
the corners where she might be standing, or
sure.
because she just
Well,
said 33rd and Main.
Yeah, and you don't see her specifically anywhere, but your phone, as you are getting closer and closer, your phone does buzz again, and it was like a like a map pin, like with the coordinates, and as you look at it and kind of the map app or software comes up, it shows that it's in the building of technology and antiquities, which is it's a museum that housed some of the kind of notable and great technological devices that were developed here in Metro City by some of its more famous inventors and whatever. It's not a big museum, but it is somewhat reputable. But it's like late at night, and so it's not open to the public. So it's like what? And as you kind of pull up in front of it, you see that there is kind of a motorcycle parked sort of on the sidewalk, kind of, it looks like it might have been hastily parked. And you can definitely tell that like maybe a half a block down, there's a van that's parked on the street. Doesn't look like it's on or anything. And there's no lights on in the museum that you can tell, but that's definitely the location that showed up on your phone.
Okay, I will mute. I will pause my playlist and pull out the business card, and I'll dial the number. Okay. Andre, you might feel the vibration or the phone ring. I don't know how you'll hear it.
Yeah, it does both. As I'm sitting there waiting on my car to arrive, my driver and everything. I'll look down at the phone, and I see the headlights off in the distance of the car coming around the corner, and answer. First I'm like, curious, and then I answer it. Hello.
Listen, I don't know what your name is, and if it's not past your bedtime, I may need your help now.
Now, what's going on?
You may not be familiar with the district. I'm not certain, but 33rd and Main, well, a female colleague of mine may be in trouble.
I'll be there shortly. And then I just click. I'll wait for the car to roll up, and it'll have a new duster for me, as well as some, refittings, basically, for my situation. And I'll step into it and tell the driver the location, 33rd and 33rd and Main.
Mm-hmm.
And then before we get there, when he takes off or whatever, I'll stop about a block and slip out and tell him to stay local, park a few blocks away, and I'll get out and look around for you, looking for both shadow form as well as your form.
While I wait for him, I will have transformed into my shadow form,
Mm-hmm.
and I would have tried to identify this motorcycle. If there's markings, if I will feel the engine. Is it warm? Is it just here?
It's not warm. As you walk over to it and you're kind of poking about, your phone starts to buzz again, and it's getting a call from Sarah's phone.
Okay.
But there's nothing on this motorcycle immediately that stands out from any other motorcycle in the city.
Okay, and the engine's not warm, so it's okay.
Yeah.
I will look, and I will answer it. Jasper.
And you hear this voice, this man's voice on the other end. Who did you call? And why are you so interested in my motorcycle?
Who did I call?
Yeah, you just called somebody, or did you text someone? Did you text him, or
No,
you called?
I called him.
Yeah. Who was it that you called?
That was pizza delivery.
Don't lie to me. We know it wasn't pizza delivery.
How do you know that?
And
you have all the pizza delivery numbers memorized?
Says, look where you are. They don't deliver pizza out here. Anyway, we need, if you want your girlfriend to stay alive, you better get in here now. And you can see
where? And I look around.
And just as you say that, this little light turns on above the entrance to the museum, and you can hear the audible click as if a electronic lock unlocked.
Okay.
Yeah. Get in here. Don't make any other calls.
Yeah, I will hit my playlist, and the Rolling Stones Painted Black starts as I slowly walk toward this entrance, and I will text the number that Dell gave me. I don't know if he gets texts. I'm assuming he does. It is 2045 or whatever it might be. And I text him to say I'll tell him which entrance I'm headed into.
But unfortunately, you see as you send the text, it says wasn't able to send. Try again.
And that's where I'll stop. At this point, I'm going to try to bypass it with an app that I put on my phone.
Okay.
To circumvent any of these security features. Are these anti-hack features?
Yeah. Make a mind roll for me.
8 plus 3, so 11.
Yeah. Okay.
So I kind of smile as I realize, okay.
Yeah,
I'm trying to circumvent
you kind
that.
of like pull up this like VPN or whatever that you use sometimes when you need to access sensitive or information from sensitive parts of the web, and not get caught. And so you do manage to get the text through, and you are fairly confident that it will have gone through securely. Probably whoever was monitoring this device is probably not going to know. But you're not confident whether you would be able to receive a text back or not. So
gotcha.
Anyway, right. But yeah, so you managed to do that. And as you get to, you kind of walk to the entrance. Do you intend to go in before Henri gets there, or are you going to wait outside, or what's?
Oh yeah, I'm going to go in. He's threatened my girlfriend. Okay. He showed me the door. I can't delay. I'm reasonably delaying long enough to send his text and circumvent it. But once I get there, I will dematerialize my shadow form.
Yep.
And I will stop the playlist, take the earbuds out, and pause the phone since it's been technically it has been rendered useless. At least that's my naivete. I think I want to play along, and I try the door.
Yeah, door opens. And you walk in, and There, none of the overhead lights or anything are on, but you can see, there are small screens all over the museum. A lot of them accompany like a physical object, and so it would have either like a little video or like a digital like readout of what this was. But you see that like there's a couple of different hallways that you could go down, and the center hallway, the screens, there's like 2 of them that you could see. They're like flashing. None of the other ones are. Just these 2, the ones just on that center, they're flashing almost as if it was like runway lights.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'll move slowly, trying to take in, anything around me in case there's a ambush. I will move slowly toward these runway lights, guiding me.
Yep. And you get to the end of the hallway, and it ends at a big set of double doors that says authorized personnel only, not open to the public. And as you get basically right to the door, you hear another click as if an electronic lock opened.
Okay, I stand here. I won't touch the door. I won't go through it. I'm just going to stand here.
Okay.
And I'll stand here as long.
Yep.
I'll stand here.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, we'll cut back to outside for a minute. As Henri, your car manages to pull up to the, actually you got out, so you managed to.
I pulled up short to it, but the text. I'm now looking down at the text.
Yeah, and so
What does it say?
So you see that he gave you the address of where he was at, right? And if you make it to that spot, you'll see the museum, and you'll see that there's no lights on and all the same stuff that was described.
Oh yeah, I just meant, what does the text say?
Oh, the text was just the address of where.
Yeah, telling you that I'm going into this museum.
Yeah.
At 33rd and Main, so whatever museum this is. What is this museum?
Yeah, it was the Metro City. I think it was the historical tech museum or whatever. Yeah.
Yep. So I will have texted you. I'm entering the.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. With my monocle, it's more of a smart glass or whatever, where I can see visually like the schematical layouts of the things voice activated. So I'll pull that up to kind of get a little overview of the building too. And I'm on the horn. I'll flip the phone back over and call my driver in the car and get him to open the moonroof and launch the drone so we can get a visual of the place. If anybody,
Sure. Does the drone interface with your monocle somehow, or
Yeah, it does, and it's also got the whole gambit.
Yeah,
from infrared.
Yeah, okay.
The whole nine. So that's what it's trying to do, is assess the situation. I don't want to walk into a place like that, like the boy is, or Garrett. Excuse me.
Yep. So the drone, ascends and kind of flies over near silently, right? As it goes, and as it's kind of scanning the building, and it goes like night vision, and then it goes infrared, and with the infrared, it picks up basically 4 heat signatures. It seems as if there are 2 figures seemingly looming over a third figure, who is maybe seated, or it's hard to tell. And then you see a 4th figure standing maybe about 10 feet from them. And you see one of the figures start to move away from the prone individual and towards this other individual. But you see no other signs of people or anything, and there doesn't seem to be any signs of like automated defense systems or anything like that.
Is it central? Okay, well, good to know. But is it centrally located, or is it near a window, something I can gain vantage from another building?
The room that you're in does not seem to have, it has a window, but as the drone goes by, and this is not uncommon for this area especially. It's got like blackout windows. So, in the sense that like people could see out, but you can't see in. Gotcha. And furthermore, and this might be a little bit different, as the drone flies by and tries to use its optical sensors, there's like some kind of interference. It's not able to penetrate through the blackout, where it might normally. It can still get infrared, but it can't get the video feed, even
Gotcha.
using, its tech magic and whatever.
Got you. Well, I will. If it's while I'm assessing this, I guess he's walking in or whatever, and I'm walking still to gather the information that I am, and I'll let the drone, kind of monitor off to the side to see where their heat signatures stay, or if they move about, and I'll enter the museum too.
Okay. And so as you kind of go to put your hand on the handle to open the main entrance, you see in your monocle, because you're kind of doing both, right? You see the one heat signature that was coming towards the stationary one stop. And then you see all of a sudden the stationary figure go like this. And like it looks like he was pulled into the room. And so now the two figures' heat signatures are largely blended together. And to cut back, Garrett, you like the door opens, and just as you're about to like sort of ascertain what's going on,
I
this
put
big
my
hand
hand.
just
It says
pulls you in.
authorized personnel. Oh, and he pulls me in.
Right. It pulls you in, and in this room, it's pretty well illuminated. So you kind of squint at first because it was dark in the hallway. Yeah. And you see this one guy who, I mean, he looks like your typical, Metro City goon. Like he's a big, meathead, right? And he's the one that pulls you in. And then you can see that Sarah is she's essentially at a desk, with she's like bound to the office chair. And it looks like they use just kind of a combination of like paracord and duct tape. They probably would have brought the paracord, and then there might have been duct tape in the office, right? But she's bound there. Her mouth has like there's tape, but it's not. It looks like it was pulled away so she could speak, but it's still connected to her cheek, so they could put it back if they had to.
It's just hanging there. Right.
Yeah. And so as she comes in, or as you come in, and she sees you, you maybe, you might have expected her to be like happy to see you or relieved, but she seems almost like more frightened that you're there, or concerned instead of
I don't respond. I see her, but I don't respond and I basically the guy's manhandled me, and I say, hey, big fella, who's your trainer? How did you get so big? I'm starting a program on Monday. And then I'll kind of look around and assess everything else in the room as I come back around to Sarah.
So standing next to Sarah is a much smaller man, smaller even than you. He has a kind of like a bowler hat on, and he's wearing like a tweed sport coat. But like this guy looks like, he would have like grown up on, the streets of Liverpool or whatever, like just,
dapper.
Dapper, but not classy. He's definitely dressing beyond his station. But he looks up at you and he says, "Oi, you that tech genius she was talking about?"
And I hold up a finger like to shut him up. Sarah, you okay? And I'm looking at Sarah. Sarah, you all right?
And he gets this real nasty look on his face, but she says, yeah, but answer his questions.
And I'll look back toward him, bring my hand down. You can let Sarah go now.
No, that's not how it works. You help us with our problem and we'll let your girlfriend go.
Well, see, I have a problem. And Sarah, she's not my girlfriend, by the way. She needs to go before I can focus on any other problems.
Okay. He says, "Oh, well, she's not your girlfriend. Then I suppose you won't mind this." And he clocks her right in the face.
Okay.
And he says, "Now listen, you're not the one giving orders here."
Yeah,
You do what I say.
I'll react reaching toward her, but I won't step.
Yeah, yeah, and
And
as
then
you
I'll
react, like
I'll say, now that,
yeah,
and I'll look back at him. Now that wasn't necessary.
Okay, I'm outside. I don't know what point I'll be, but I'm sliding down the thing. I've still got their body heat signatures off there,
Mhm.
but I get to the door and I want to listen and take old apparatus out. Right,
Mhm.
open it up and go to the door to amplify any kind of hearing. So I've got my ear on the door right now, trying to pick up
So
what it is.
okay, so you not the exterior door, but you've entered and you're now listening through the door that he's at. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I went down the hallway, and
Yep.
all of my gadgetry is old, but
Yeah.
it's
Sure.
new tech inside of it. Okay, that's all.
So
But,
that's fine. So okay, I'll describe that in a minute. But Jason, you notice as this is happening, right? He's got that scowl on his face, and you say what you say. You notice that he's got like a smartphone or something, not Sarah's, because you've seen hers and it's ridiculous and has like a pink case and whatever.
Yeah, with the broken screen, which I keep telling her to fix. Get fixed.
Yeah, and she doesn't want to spend the money, and you're like, I could fix that in 5 seconds. But anyway, so she. Oh no! So his phone, it's clearly, it looks like he was monitoring something, like he's viewing something on it, and it's like the little like LED indicator for when there's like a message or an alert is going off. But he doesn't seem to be ignoring it. But you're seeing like it almost looks like a security camera, and you can see somebody on this security camera. Doesn't seem to be, they don't seem to be like actively moving, but
Right.
But yeah, so he's looking at you and he says, "Now listen, your girlfriend or your friend here told me that you know quite a lot about tech, and we got a problem here." And he kind of points over to this thing, and he says, "Now this device is well, it's not working, and we need you to get it to work." And she said you would know how to do it. And you can see her; she's shaking her head like, "Don't do it."
Okay.
But he doesn't quite tell you what it is yet.
Okay, and I said, well, you're pretty tech savvy. I don't know what you need me for. You've hacked my phone. You've monitored my progress. What can I help you with?
And he says, "Here, take a look at this." And he hands you a it's like a little tablet that looks like it was sort of forcibly removed from one of the exhibits, and he hands it to you, and it's a readout of basically it was this is, you get the impression it's a description of what this device was or what it was supposed to be, and it was experimental tech that was pioneered by one of the great like weapons techs here. And so you can hear all this, by the way, Henri, not with the description, but you can hear what he said. And Garrett, you're reading, and it sounds like this was created by like the Tony Stark of Metro City, as a essentially it was designed to be able to synthesize DNA into into this device, and then the device could be used to dematerialize any matter that had that DNA signature.
It's an offshoot of the device that gave me my powers.
It's a horrific weapon. It's
how I ended up with these shadow cellular DNA changes that let me control shadow.
Yeah.
So I recognize from my MCIT days before I quit the technical college.
Yep.
And eyebrow goes up, and then I'll kind of look back at him and say, yeah, this is old. This is an old apparatus. It's pretty much worthless.
So you're saying you can't fix it?
Oh no, I'm saying I could build you a far better device.
I don't have time for that. I need this one. I need it fixed. Can you do it or not?
So as I look at this and I'm holding it, well, I'm gonna have to do a diagnostic with my phone. Cool.
What? Diagnostic? What kind of diagnostic do you need? And
so I take my phone out and unfold it.
At that point, he grabs his phone because,
Right.
and then he's, what the hell? And he looks, and he points to, the huge guy, and he says, "There's someone outside the door. Go check it out."
Okay, at this time,
you would have heard that for sure.
Well, I would have been doing something too because I fished up my phone to text whenever he said that. But then I hear that, right? So, I mean, was I giving some kind of indicator to cue him off? Because, okay.
No, yeah, you didn't do anything. What prompted it was that when Garrett pulls his phone, the other guy pulled out his phone because he was going to make sure that Garrett wasn't going to do anything funny because somehow he hacked his phone. But before he had time to do that, he had the security monitoring software up, and so that's what was happening. He could see he had a camera. He had cameras all throughout, so that's how he knew what Garrett was doing and all that. So you just
I can't take but I can't text my warning at that point. So what I would do, because I had one thumb on my eye, and I'm fishing out my eyeball, my shot, and I'm putting the fingerprint to it, and I'm laying it down. Is there a gap under the door?
Yeah.
At all? That's what I'm doing. I'm rolling that under the door. All right. So it's out of my eye socket.
Okay.
Get the print, and it's rolling under the door.
Okay.
And
will you make a luck roll for me?
Okay.
Just a standard luck roll. I just want to.
Oh, that's one. Now I will let you know it's a flashbang. All right.
Okay.
So I was going to text him to close his eyes.
So you roll that under the door, and is it like on a time delay, or do you manually activate?
Oh, it's I suppose I could manually adjust it, but because of the hesitancy of the the thing, it's like I roll it under there to flash it like immediately, like it's thumbprint.
Yeah. So it would be on like a 2 or 3 second to give it time to roll. Okay.
Exactly.
So it rolls in and
rolls back out.
No, you expect it to hear the bang and to see the flash, but all you hear is this like
step
crunch. What the? And then you hear, oh, what's going on? Something hurt my foot. And at this point, you hear the other voice saying, "I don't care what hurt your foot. Just find out who's outside."
Okay. At this point, the door open in or out? It's got to be.
So it pushed in, right? It opens inward. Yeah.
Well, yeah. I'm trying to open it and kick it in. All right.
Oh, okay. You're going to kick it in?
But, I mean, I got a negative on that, but still, that's what I would have did, especially when I grimaced, to my chagrin, he stepped on it.
He did. I know. Yeah, unfortunately, that critical fail caused him to literally, because he was coming towards the door. And it was that unfortunate.
It's just the whole thing, honestly, was to roll in there and do a flashbang, kick the door in. You know what I mean? But it did. The whole thing flubbed. So, but I'm still in motion of kicking it in, right?
Okay, you're gonna kick in the door. All right. So I think that the door isn't like locked at this point. So I think that you can presumably kick in the door. Or actually, I think maybe what happens if you're not exceptionally strong, you would go to kick the door, but it doesn't open, and so then like in frustration, you lean against it and you kind of push the handle down with your body, and it just opens.
Fall in.
And you kind of stumble in, but you manage to stay on your foot. As this huge dude is like looking at you in surprise, and then he like his hand is like
my monocle dropped off.
3 times the size of the gun that he's holding in his hand. So it almost like dwarfs it, and he's like, "Well, oi," and then he's like, I found him.
I just stumbled into him like he did.
Yep. So he's going to reach for you like to restrain you. Are you going to try to resist him or no?
Well, I mean, I think it just with that forward momentum, a monocle would have popped out and him grabbed me by the lapels and has me at his,
right.
at his thing. So I'm kind of caught up, rung up from
Right.
the momentum I had going,
Yeah. And
So
so you see this angry, red-faced, smaller man with a bowler hat on, and he looks to you.
I'm going to try to knee him in the groin as soon as I get a chance. But anyway, go ahead.
Okay. He looks to you, and he says, "And who the fuck are you? Are you with him?" And he kind of nods over to Garrett. So if you want to take your chance, you certainly can. And just make a body roll.
That's when I just look and do a double and then try to knee him in the groin because he's got me leveraged right there, right?
Yeah.
So a 12. I did what Jason did in reverse. Seriously.
Okay. Wow. All right. Awesome.
Nice.
So yeah, you you kind of are like, oh, and then knee right to the guy's groin.
Yeah.
And I mean, the bigger they are, the harder they fall, right? So it's almost as if in slow motion, he curls over and right, and then he starts to fall forward.
Critical knee to the balls. Jesus.
Well,
but I used him as a platform to step over him with my foot. You know what I mean?
Sure.
As it's my knees raised up, and as he falls, I'll set my foot on him to walk over him and kind of go in fast and try to get toward a vantage point beside the boy or Garrett and his girl to grab him and said, "Let's go."
So as you do that, you kind of push him down, and the force of your knee or foot kind of on this big man kind of pushes him to the side a little bit, and he actually like smacks his head on like the counter that was on the side there, or the desk or whatever, and then he does that, and then he kind of like almost like 180s and falls backwards into the doors. And so the doors are now like open. These double doors are open to the hallway. I mean, there's nobody out there, but still. And he's lying unconscious on the ground. And you see the other, the man with the bowler hat now. This is all very confusing. He's not sure what to make of this. And Garrett, if you wanted to do something in the confusion, you certainly can. But you see this guy's reaching down to grab what looks like a gun on his belt.
Yeah, this whole time, as all of this was unfolding, I'm getting my phone out. I put one of my earbuds in, and I'm interfacing with this device while all this is kind of happening simultaneously.
Mm-hmm.
And then as he brings this big man to his knees, I'll at that point I'll look over at Sarah. Now she's actually tied to the chair, right?
Yeah, and she got punched in the face, so she's tied to the chair with paracord.
There's no way she's going to stand up. Right. There's no way I can pick her up and walk out of here. So,
I mean, unless you want to pick the chair up, but
right. So no, I basically will kind of take 2 steps back away from the ruckus.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm working, so I step back. I let them scrabble over, let them fight, let them rumble while I'm interfacing, and I'm going to use my phone to deactivate completely this device.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. Go ahead then and I guess make a mind roll for me. Okay. This is older tech that isn't it wasn't generally remotely activated, so you're kind of trying to use your like tech genius to sort of figure out a way to almost jerry-rig a hack on this thing to completely deactivate it. But it's going to be difficult because it really wasn't designed. It was designed probably 30 or 40 years ago, and it was never completed, or at least this one wasn't. This might be a prototype model. So you're not sure if hacking it will work, but you can give it a shot.
Right.
Yeah.
All right.
Yep.
5 plus 3, 8.
Okay. So you realize that there's no way to kind of electronically disable this thing. In fact, you get the impression that it kind of is disabled right now. And what they were looking to do was have you do whatever you needed to do to make it active. But what you realized was that it really wouldn't take a tech genius to reactivate this thing. If there were any military scientist, any kind of weapons expert would understand how to bring this to life. So you succeeded in the sense that this device is not going to be a threat right now.
Right.
And you have an understanding of how it works because it's different. Okay. It's sort of a precursor to the device that you were affected by.
Right.
And so it's much smaller, much more portable, which if activated would make it much more dangerous. And so,
right.
Yes, but so you realize that that's the case. And so that was all going on while, Meat Hooks was about
yeah, I
to
mean,
get in the groin.
I step back and make this realization about the time he knees the big guy in the balls.
Sure. And then and you see Bowler Hat reaching down to grab his gun, and so you have a split second if there's any action that you want to take while Bowler Hat's distracted.
I will fling this I will fling this device that I'm looking at him.
Oh God. Okay.
Try to basically fling this iPad for all intents and purposes.
The tablet. Yeah.
Tablet and bounce it off his skull.
Okay, go for it. Yeah, so just make a body roll for me as you kind of
6 total.
6 total. He's distracted. Okay. Yeah, so that actually will connect. And it will.
I'll say here you can have your device back as I flip it,
wing it
right at 60 miles an hour at his skull, right?
Yeah, and I'll say it doesn't hit him in the head because as you speak, he's still reaching for his gun, but he looks up at you and he sees the thing flying at him, and he puts his arm up, and so it hits his arm, and it does hit him back into the head. It knocks him back, so his hand comes up away from his gun. So he is distracted, and he's no longer obviously actively reaching for his gun as he's kind of stumbling backwards, but he starts cursing and yelling, "I'm going to kill all of you."
And
how do you guys react to this? Yeah.
I will suddenly this shadow will just engulf, blocking out all light in the room, and you'll hear this demonic voice say, "We'll see who kills who."
Mm-hmm. Oh wow.
So putting everybody in the dark, basically making it blindness for everybody.
Well, I think I would have been, if so, I'd have been launching myself as I saw him go back right before the shadow overtook, and I would have launched myself and said in Spanish, "Get the girl and get out," as I try to shoot for his waist as he's throwing back. You know what I mean? Attacking.
Okay.
Of course, the darkness is taking us.
Yeah.
And I assume
is there
Sarah
any particular reason you're speaking in Spanish? These people didn't speak Spanish.
No.
As far as you know, but
I know Jason does, or I know Garrett does.
Well, no,
I heard it.
It's a normal English, but I spoke in Spanish to the kids.
Yes, exactly.
Right. Yes. Okay.
Exactly.
Okay. Gotcha.
So
I'm not speaking in Spanish unless I'm not speaking in any foreign
sense.
language unless I have to. Right.
Okay. So, Del, go ahead and make a body roll for me. And Jason, so I guess we changed spirit to fate, right? So.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Effectively, or whatever, effectively spirit, but we're going to use it as kind of that destiny or that fate. So, go ahead and roll that for me. Okay. Okay. Go ahead and do that.
Okay. And that's, so my ability is +1. So I'm assuming this will be added to my ability. I mean, my superpower to this. Okay, so +1. 7 + 1, 8.
8. Okay.
And I'm assuming Sarah sees me.
Oh, well, yeah.
Transform into this black mass.
I think she does. Before we resolve that, Del, what did you roll?
Okay. Oh my God, I rolled a 1 again.
Okay. So
1, 12, 1. Yep, there you go.
This all happens simultaneously. So you big man went down, right? You just as he kind of falls down, like, a giant falling onto the ground, you see this movement, right? And you turn around and you see the tablet, like, basically almost knock the bowler hat guy out. But he manages, and then he says, I'm going to kill you. And you, with your training and your instincts and all that, right? You go to leap at him. And just as you're about to push off with your foot, like, Garrett goes full on shadow form again. And it's just like distracting enough that it throws you off. And so you leap full on through the air. But you unfortunately do not connect with a living being. But instead you land kind of half on the table. And your stomach kind of like curls over, right? Cause it's like you landed only halfway on the table and you fall off, onto the ground.
Yeah.
You managed to fall on your back, fortunately. But it definitely takes the wind out of you. And so I think that, I don't know if I want to give you a wound, but I think that you will definitely be like, it'll take you a little bit of time to like get up and get yourself, situated again, because, just because it would have knocked the wind out of you, maybe slight concussion, who knows? And with the fact that you're already kind of fatigued. Yeah. But also everything's black, and
Yeah, it's
you
like
took
pitch black.
your magical eye out, right? Or your special eye.
Oh, it fell out on that last thing.
So you can't necessarily like modulate your vision, at least at the beginning.
No, sorry. Yeah, I cartwheel over that table and land on my back. I mean, I think it's pretty warranted as far as like,
and
a wound or even double wound, But,
well, I think a wound is reasonable in that case. I mean, I think that makes sense within the mechanics of the game. So, Garrett, you go full on shadow form, and you say what you say, and you can like, I mean, this guy gets this look of panic over his face, and he's like, okay, I'm sorry, I didn't know, just don't kill me, and he's backing up, and then he stumbles over something on the ground, and he falls, and Henri, you have this guy who like literally basically trip over your arm or something. No, he doesn't trip onto him. He manages to kind of fall over him, but he falls down prone next to you. And you can hear Sarah like, oh my, she's like this intake of breath. She seems probably scared, but you're not 100% sure. Yeah.
Yeah. And again, everything in to utter darkness. I then tap my phone playlist into my voice modulator, and I start the song by Tom Waits, "Make It Rain," and it's playing through my voice modulator. So it's utter blackness, and it's Tom Waits' grinding voice of "Make It Rain." As I move to Sarah in the darkness, and I start to untape her arms, and I whisper to her, as I'm playing Tom Waits through my voice modulator, I can talk to her, and I tell her, "Be calm, I'm getting you out." And I'm it's just like this invisible man in a way. It's like blackness speaking in her ear.
I'm concussed, and I'm hearing this, and almost like this thing, like, and I'm coming back in this total darkness, right? Yeah. Maybe if I still had my monocle, I could see, but I'm so disoriented, and I'm grasping around for something and trying to right myself since I fell over on my back. So that's what I'm doing, scrambling right now to get some kind of. But I'm in a panic. Hurry! It's going to take me obviously a minute to get my bearings.
Yeah. Well, and you can smell like the scent of urine, and you kind of in your half dazed state, you look over and you realize that Bowler Hat's pissed himself, and there's a big
Yeah, that's probably
puddle
what I slipped
on
in.
the floor. Well, yeah, maybe. No, you didn't slip. You literally went, good to football tackle the guy, and the darkness messed you up. But you realize the pool's kind of expanding, and it might touch you if you don't move, because he's scared. It scared the hell out of him, and so, but he's trying to scramble up to get out of there, and he's like slipping, and he falls again, and there's like a little splash, and
there's a lot of noise, and there's Tom Waite going on too. Right, so at this point, the little spring action gun pops into my hand from my sleeve, and I'm just pointing it in every direction, trying to get a bearing with all these sounds.
Yeah,
that I'm trying to work from. You know what I mean? To see where exactly, and I start screaming out in Spanish. Take the girl, go. I'm looking for some kind of answer in the darkness. Yeah. That's all I'm doing. I ain't pulling the trigger yet.
Yep. And so in that case, if you're not actively going to try to like stop or shoot Bowler Hat, then he will eventually gain his footing, and he'll try to leave. But Garrett, he's not going to try to do anything to you at this point. So you'll be able to, it'll take a little while. You probably need to grab like a knife or a switchblade or whatever, and kind of cut the paracord and the duct tape. But with a little bit of time, you'll be able to remove Sarah, but it means that it will give this guy time to get away unless somebody else does something.
I mean, I'm focused on getting her free so I can get out with her. Right.
Now I'm telling him to leave, but if I can distinguish between the two, I don't like to take a blind shot, as it were. But maybe if I can distinguish between the two well enough, but right now I'm uncertain to do that. You know what I mean? But
Would you? And I guess is Garrett still in full on shadow form?
Oh yeah, I'm keeping it completely.
Yeah.
Black in here.
Yeah. So I think probably then without,
because I don't want them to be able to see what I'm doing.
Right.
Yeah, that's fine.
Without the aid of you can't really see. You can hear him, obviously. So you could try to make a shot.
You can hear Tom Waits make it rain.
You can hear Tom Waits, right? But
I mean, maybe with a mind check, if I can discern.
Well, he's not. So for a visual representation, right? Like, Garrett and Sarah would be over here. You're down here on the ground. What I mean. If the other guy's over here, so they're not in the same direction. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, if my mind could, but I am concussed, so I'm taking it. Sure. But like if I had a mind, maybe on a larger thing because of that concussion, but with this all these noise and everything, and it's totally pitch black. So I don't even see shadows, but I maybe can discern like weight or movement or,
If I see what I'm afraid of is if I let you make a mind roll and you fail because your dice haven't been super lucky, then you might end up shooting one here. But you can do that if you want.
I don't want I mean, I wouldn't. I wouldn't do that unless I felt pure. You know what I mean? That's why I'm helping.
Well, you could make a luck roll. Actually, make a spirit roll, which we're gonna we're gonna call fate instead of spirit. But it's so make that to see if destiny, if your fate or your destiny.
Do I have any pluses on that, Jay?
Oh, let me check. For caliber, yes, you have a +1.
+2. Okay, +1, nice.
All right, it's just 5. I don't think that's worth a squat.
No,
I just sigh and resign myself to like waiting for the point to where it's all clear, and I'm still staying in Spanish. Garrett, Garrett. I'll say that.
Yeah. Okay.
As I'm reaching out in the darkness, trying to position myself.
Right.
So Bowler Hat seems to be tripping and knocking into all kinds of things. But eventually you kind of get the impression that he's like literally, like you can hear him moving around the room. He's trying to kind of like figure out where the door is. And at one point you hear a thud and a crash. And you think maybe he crashed or tripped over the big dude that was down. And he starts cursing, and then but finally, because the doors are open, he's leaving, and you can.
And that
Yeah.
So I would be just blocking all light in the room, so you would like see him appear in the hallway. It's like he would.
Yeah.
It's like he would walk out of a black
Well,
void.
I can't see past the blackness that I'm in. I don't know if I'm blind or I don't know if it's you. So that's another reason I'm calling out Garrett. But I would, like I said, take the girl and run. But did you do it? Am I really, just expressing the panic that I'd be in.
Yeah, and I'm still trying to get her loose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll just wait for anything visually, and I'm trying to reach down. Whenever the urine sinks in around my knees, I'll kind of get up abruptly and put my back to the wall and slide up, and feel around for like the table, or that's when I'll start working my way around. Right.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's fine. And by this point, Garrett, you've managed to get Sarah loose, but she's like, I can't see anything. What, she seems like she's hesitant to like do anything because she can't see.
Right.
Yeah.
I will once I get her completely free, and I'll whisper to her, "Be calm," until she's completely free, and then I will shrink the shadow down away. I will cease and desist with the shadow.
Yeah.
The voice modulator I will click off.
Yeah.
And I will at that point, if she's completely free, I'll be ushering her toward the door. I will look around though at the windows. Are the windows something that are barred? Are they something you can go through?
I mean, they're not barred.
Okay.
You don't know if they're just standard windows with tinting on them or what.
Right.
But
so once I desist with my blackout shadow, I will assess the door and where everybody's at with her, and then the windows, the nearest window.
Yeah, I mean, there's a window there. If you wanted to try to break it, you could certainly try.
Right.
Yeah. And you see
how are we up one floor?
No, this is the ground floor. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So I'll kind of wait as my eyes adjust to see what the situation is in the room. Yeah.
Right. And so you would see as the darkness dissipates, you would see the man from the train, right? Who you called in. He's there. Meat Hooks is still down on the ground, just totally passed out in the door, and the bowler hat man is gone.
Yeah. And at that point, I'll start with her. I'll start running, out that door and down the hall to get out of here as well.
Yeah. And before you do, she says, wait. And she goes and she grabs the device that he was trying to get you to repair. She says, we can't leave this here. And so, so you guys start to run. How does Henri react to this?
Yeah, I'm sitting there and it's taking me a minute, and I finally see them coming together. I'm blinking. I had reached in one of my pockets and got another one of my special eyes and then flip that in there.
Pop it in, yeah.
Almost something to do while I was nervous because I don't know if my one good eye is actually blinded now, right?
Yeah.
So I'm nervous about that, but I get a sigh of relief, and they're hearing me gasp whenever the darkness dissipates to where I'm over there blinking, and then I look up at him and look around real quick, and good, you're safe. And I slip back into English, and I walk over there looking for my monocle. Now that I know I can see, and it's laying there in a urine puddle, and I pick it up and wipe it off. You know what I mean? And kind of put it in a pocket.
And I'll be yelling as we're exiting, "Come on, old man!"
And I'll see them and then walk outside, and my staff, which I'd leaned up against the door before everything went down, I'll grab it and look both ways and then follow. Still retaining my pride as much as I can for the situation, but I'll follow them.
Okay.
So
and so as you make your way out of the building, you can hear the sirens getting closer and closer. So you get the impression that the police are on their way. And you kind of pop out and you see there's so it's on the corner of 33rd and Main. Main is like a big boulevard, right? 2 or 3 lanes on each side with a median in the middle. And you can see probably 6 or 8 blocks down these big, they look almost like military trucks coming in, and like you would know that this would be like the elite security forces that are hired by the wealthy people here, and they don't mess around. So you definitely have to get out of here. But
yeah, and I'm one of them too, but not in the guys I'm at right now. But when I come out of the building, I'm yell for Garrett as he's starting to leave with the girl. Do you need a ride? And I'm already fishing up my phone.
Yeah, and I'll turn. You'll see as I'll turn. I'll be wiping the a little bit of blood from her lip where he punched her and her tears away. As I say, yes, we need a ride.
Okay, I'm brushing off my hat like that, and I'll put it back on and snug it down, and I say, like, gesture.
Okay.
And then this way, and then I'll turn to the left and
I'll take her under my arm as I walk her in behind you toward the direction you're going. I'll slide an earbud into her left ear.
You'll see a dark Lincoln parked around the corner, and with blackout windows or whatever. You know, and I'll open the door and gesture you in.
Yeah, and as we slide in, I'll hold her. I'll put one of my earbuds in her right ear and one in my left ear, and I'll start Howie Day Collide as we hunker down in the back seat of this car.
Yeah, and I'll open up the front and slide in until Bartholomew. Yeah, you know, to the manse.
And so so at this point, as you get in, right, and you're sitting down, Garrett, your phone buzzes, right, as indicating that you got a message. And if you look at it and you realize that it is it's essentially a security alert. You set up something that if your if your network or whatever was ever hacked, that you would get an alert, and you get the impression that, or you get the message that not only was your network hacked and compromised, but that your physical location based on your IP address and whatever was compromised.
Okay.
Yep. And so they don't, doesn't say anything about who hacked you or what, but
my
you
physical,
know that you're
you mean where I'm at now?
Yes.
Or my,
yep.
or my,
No. You're home. Yeah. Wherever your main router is.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I will,
shouldn't be possible, but it was.
I will text both Alpha and Beta.
Yep.
I'll give them the 611 alarm.
Yes.
Code.
Okay. And what are the protocols for if your place was physically compromised, or at least somebody knows your physical address? Do you have a plan in place?
You mean as if they're breaking into the place? Or...
No, nobody's actively breaking in, but if...
Oh, so 611 would alert Alpha and Beta to pack the most important materials.
Okay.
And prepare for a change of address.
Okay, gotcha. So, right. So they'll pack the hot chocolate. They'll pack the video games.
Right. They will leave anything that would be connected to the network that would.
Right.
So the computer would stay. Anything that would be traceable to our new location. Yeah. So basically, hard copies of things. My CDs. You know, my clothes. You know, whatever. But they know to pack up and prepare for a change of location.
Right. Gotcha. Okay.
With the 611 code.
Yep. So they do that. And I think I think what would happen is, right, this would be like the ending scene. And so after that message, like you hear Sarah saying, "Are you even listening to me?" And you kind of look up, right, realizing, you know, whatever. And she says, she looks at you, and then as you make eye contact with her, she like full hand slaps you right on the face, and she's like, "How could you not tell me something so important?" And you can tell that she's mad because of her like journalistic thing, right? Like she does not like knowing or not knowing things.
Mystery. She doesn't want mystery.
Or does she? I don't know. Women are confusing. Right. And so,
with that, I'll pull the earbuds out, killing the Howie Day song. And then I will wind it around the phone and say, "Damn, there goes another phone, another playlist." and I will pitch the phone out of the car into the boulevard so they can't track my phone.
Yeah, and you'll see the drone flying over the Lincoln, and because I've got it scouting because we're trying to find the quickest avenue. It ain't going to be blocked by all these things that are being set up.
Right. Yeah. Anyway. And so I imagine, like, you know, if this was a movie, what would have happened is it would almost be like the camera would be from the drone's eye view, and it would you know, like zooming in on the phone, and you see the phone sitting in the road, right? And it's got the indication of the like the music playing, right?
Yeah.
And then like there's this like bright light, and you hear this crunching sound, and then the music stops and everything goes black, and that is the end of Dark Age of Heroes Origins.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Outstanding.
So,
that was fun.
Thank you. Yeah. So I figure I will, if you guys want to hang out for a little bit and just kind of do the post-game banter, we can. What I'm going to do is I'm going to stop the recording for the game session, and then I'll start it up again for the post-game. But yeah, so hopefully that was enjoyable. Dark Age of Man in superhero setting.
Great fun.
Yeah, and hopefully we'll get to experience more of the lives of these characters.
Yeah. I'm digging both characters for sure, and the world.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right.
In one session, we have NPCs, we have world building, we have our main characters, we have a couple of bad guys out there banging around. Fantastic first session.
Thank you. Thank you. And with that, everybody, see you later, and stay tuned for the post-game banter.